Welcome back. This is attorney Thomas Burton, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can obtain a free power of attorney for healthcare from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, and anyone can fill this out on their own by obtaining it from their website. So we're here at dhs.wisconsin.gov/forms/advanced directives. That's the address. If you Google Wisconsin Power of Attorney with Wisconsin Department of Health Services, it'll likely come up. So here you'll see they have these forms available online. They're designed to be completed without the assistance of an attorney. So I'm creating this video as a service to the public. If you don't have one of these in place and you need to put one in place fast, or just need to put one in place and are not working with an attorney, here is where you can get the form that's designed to be completed yourself. And there's 3 forms here. Check out my other video on the power of attorney for finances if you want to know about that one. But we're going to today talk about the power of attorney for healthcare, because in my opinion, that's the one document every adult over age 18 should have, because it names an agent to act for you in the event you're ever alive but incapacitated. And they say here, these forms or variations may also be available from your attorney, physician, or hospital. So some people who've recently been in the hospital will tell me they complete a power of attorney for healthcare, because many times the hospital will either strongly suggest or require it. And they also have multi-language versions as well. So then look at this part about if printing these forms, please ensure you print and complete all the pages to be valid. To be valid, the forms must be complete and signed. And make sure you read this disclaimer. They're containing standardized wording specific to the Wisconsin statutes. If they're filled out and signed correctly, the completed forms are presumed to be valid in the state of Wisconsin. Do not change the pre-printed wording of the forms unless instructions for the forms indicate you may do so. Changing the forms contrary to their instructions may invalidate the completed forms. If the forms are not sufficient for your needs, consult an attorney. So you need to read that statement. Again, this is designed to be self-help for you to do on your own. And if you're not sure about any of this, I recommend you consult with a licensed attorney before proceeding. So here you can go to the forms and you'll see the power of attorney for healthcare. And then it's in Hmong, Spanish, and Vietnamese as well. So if that's your language, you can use one of those. Now, the easiest is to just grab it on the internet and fill it out. But if you don't have internet access, you can request a form by mailing a self-addressed stamped envelope to this address here. And then put in the note which forms you would like. And you can request the following. You need a self-addressed stamped envelope with postage of at least 69 cents per form requested. So here we go. Power of attorney for healthcare, PDF. And the great thing is this again is a self-help one, so it has instructions to complete. And I recommend you read all of this. Makes it possible for adults in Wisconsin to authorize other individuals called healthcare agents to make healthcare decisions on their behalf if they should become incapacitated. It may also be used to make or refuse an anatomical gift, donation of all or part of the human body. Be sure to read all 6 pages of the form carefully and understand it before you complete and sign it. Talk with those you select as your healthcare agent and the alternate agent about your thoughts and beliefs about medical treatment. And this is key. Neither the healthcare agent nor the alternate may be your healthcare provider, an employee of a healthcare facility in which you are a patient, or a spouse of any of those persons unless he or she is also your relative. So when we get to the end, if you fill this out, the key is that you must sign it in front of 2 witnesses. Witnesses must be at least 18 years of age, not related to you by blood, marriage, domestic partnership, or adoption, and not directly financially responsible for your health care. A witness cannot be a healthcare provider who is serving you at the time the document is signed, or an employee of the healthcare provider, unless the employee is a chaplain or social worker. So this is why I recommend you do this in advance and not when you're already in the hospital, because a healthcare provider cannot be a witness. And in that instance, there's only very limited people available in the hospital who could be a witness, which would be the chaplain or social worker. A witness cannot be your healthcare agent or have a claim on any portion of your estate. Valid witnesses acting in good faith are immune from civil or criminal liability. Okay, so then read through the definitions. All of this here, it's very important. When does it take effect? An individual's power of attorney for healthcare takes effect upon a finding of incapacity by two physicians, or a physician and a psychologist or nurse practitioner, or a physician assistant who personally examine the principal and sign a statement specifying that the principal has incapacity. So for the healthcare power of attorney, it only becomes effective upon that finding of incapacity. So let's look through the form. Read all of this too. This is about your right to make decisions about your health care and how you should discuss them with people. This is an important legal document. It gives broad powers to make health care decisions for you. So do not sign this document unless you clearly understand it. And for sake of this video, I'm not reading every word today, but you should definitely read it all before you complete it. Now, when you get to the form, the beginning is quite simple. You're going to fill in the date. You're filling it out. And then fill in your name here. Print name, address, and date of birth. So if you want to print this out on the computer, you can do it in advance ahead of time. But you don't have to. You could just, the simplest is just fill it in ink and handwriting. So being of sound mind, I intend to create this power of attorney for healthcare. I'm doing it voluntarily. This now is where you name your agent. If I am no longer able to make health care decisions for myself due to my incapacity, I hereby designate, let's say it's your son, Sam R. Smith, and you can put in his address if you want. Like that. And I would recommend a phone. But again, see, print name, address, and telephone number, because the phone would be important if they need to get in touch with this person. But again, you could just fill it out by ink. So that's your primary agent. If he or she is ever unable or unwilling to do so, then designate, you can name a successor agent. Now, you don't have to name a successor, but if you're going to go through the work of filling this out, I recommend you do it if you have two people you trust. If you don't, then just go with the primary. That would be the alternate healthcare agent. And this language talks through what we discussed about when it becomes effective upon incapacity, when these people would express the opinion that you are incapacitated. Now, here's a general statement of authority granted. This document is giving authority, broad authority to your agent to make decisions for you when you're unable to. So the goal is that they would act in your best interest and evaluate the information from the doctors and then make the best choice for you. But inside the document is where you can further express your wishes on some of these topics. So the first one is a nursing home. My healthcare agent may admit me to a nursing home or community-based residential facility for short-term stays for recuperative care or respite care. If I have checked, so they can do it for short-term care. That's right here. But the next question is about long-term care. If I have checked yes to the following, my healthcare agent may admit me for a purpose other than recuperative or respite care. But if I have checked no, my healthcare agent may not so admit me. So if you're incapacitated and you think you need long-term care and you want your agent to be able to admit you, you would want to say yes. And a community-based residential facility is generally a lesser form of nursing home, like assisted living. So it's generally less expensive from what I've researched. But if you don't want anyone else to be able to admit you to a nursing home, then you would want to check no. However, be aware, if you do this and you're incapacitated, then they could not put you in for care even if you need it. And you'll see here, and you can do this by ink as well. If I have not checked yes or no immediately above, my healthcare agent may admit me only for short-term stays. So the default is if you don't do either one, then they can only do the short-term stays. Now, next is a feeding tube. If I have checked yes, my agent may have a feeding tube withheld or withdrawn from me unless my physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner has advised that in his or her professional judgment, this will cause me pain or will reduce my comfort. If I have checked no, my healthcare agent may not have a feeding tube withheld or withdrawn. My healthcare agent may not have orally ingested nutrition or hydration withheld or withdrawn from me unless provision of the nutrition or hydration is medically contraindicated. And then it says, if I have not checked yes or no immediately above, my healthcare agent may not have a feeding tube withdrawn from me. So the default would be they provide you with a feeding tube as long as you're alive. So if you want to override the default and you don't want to live on a feeding tube, then you would want yes, so the agent could evaluate the situation and withdraw the feeding tube. If you don't want them to have the power to withdraw the feeding tube in any circumstance, then you would want to put no. And remember, the default, if you don't have a power of attorney, would be they may not have the feeding tube withdrawn from you. So let's see, I can't uncheck that, but just be aware you can do either one. Now this is only for women. If healthcare decisions for pregnant women, if I have checked yes, my agent may make healthcare decisions for me even if my agent knows if I am pregnant. If I've checked no, my agent may not make healthcare decisions for me if my healthcare agent knows I am pregnant. So if that applies, you can check it. If you've not checked yes or no, then the default is my healthcare agent may not make decisions for me if my healthcare agent knows I am pregnant. And if you're a man, you can just skip this question. When I draft these documents for clients, I put this in the female version, but not the male version. But in this form, for self-completion, it's going to be in all of them, so just evaluate your situation. Now, here's a statement of desired special provisions or limitations. In exercising authority under this document, my healthcare agent shall act consistently with my following stated desires, if any, and subject to any special provisions or limitations that I specify. The following are my specific desires, provisions, or limitations that I wish to state. So if you have a special direction to your agent, this is where you would want to put it in, something you're trying to maybe explain in your own words, your thoughts on these types of decisions. You can write it in here. Okay, now this is inspection and disclosure of information relating to physical or mental health. This would be a general authority to review your physical and mental health records, which would be necessary under HIPAA. Now we're to page 5. The principal and witnesses must all sign the document at the same time. So on this form, when you get to this page, you do not want to sign it until you're physically in front of these two witnesses. And again, they must be over age 18, not related by blood marriage, domestic partnership, or adoption, and not directly financially responsible for the principal's health care. And you cannot be a healthcare provider who is serving the principal at this time, an employee of the healthcare provider other than a chaplain or social worker, or an employee other than a chaplain or a social worker of an inpatient healthcare facility in which the declarant is a patient. You can also not be the principal's agent or entitled to or have a claim on the principal's estate. So if you're someone who's named in the will or trust, or you would be an heir if they died and have no will or trust, you also can't be a witness. So the best situation is for you to fill out, you can fill out the top, but then wait to sign page 5 until you're in front of disinterested witnesses. Now, this is page 6 where you would say, this is for your agent to say they are aware they've been named. I understand that John Smith has designated me to be the agent if they're ever incapacitated, and John Smith has discussed his or her desires with me. So this would be, for example, that Sam Smith, the son we said up top, he would put his address here, but he would sign it later. You don't have to fill out this page, but it's a good idea to make your agent aware. But the key is, this is the page that makes the document legal. Now, on this form, they have the part about anatomical gifts down here, and you can simply sign and date it. So it's not on the witness part above the witness line. But if you are going to fill out the anatomical gifts, I suggest you have it done before you sign everything, and then all the dates will line up. So if you are, I often tell my clients, if you're an organ donor on your license, it's probably makes sense to make this document consistent with that. The choice, of course, is up to you. So if you wish to specify certain organs, you would check this box and write them in there. If you wish to donate any needed organ or part, then you do that one. And then if you want to do body for anatomical study, you could check that one. And then if you want to not make an anatomical gift, it would be the bottom one. So you could do any needed organ or part and donate your body, or I wish to donate only and the body, or if you want to do none of the above, just this one. Those are the options, and then sign and date. So I would have that filled out as well if you're going to do it, because it's the 6th page of this document. And I would have the top all filled in and have your choices made and thought about. And then wait to sign and date it until you're in front of the 2 witnesses, because they do not need to watch you think through all the choices at the top. I mean, you can do that, but it will take more time with the witnesses. And so in general, it's best to fill out the form, have it completed, make sure you've hit all the check boxes and lines, and then ask them to be the witnesses for you and read this witness statement before they would witness and sign. And there's a section here where they can print their name, date, address, and then sign. So this form is quite, it's in total compliance with the statutes, which is great. It's available on the DHS website, so you can make sure you're getting the most recent form. You'll see this was revised in February of 2020, and that was, so they do revise this form on a not infrequent basis. So the best way to make sure you have the current form is get it directly from the website or by mail, and then you can fill it out yourself, sign it in front of 2 witnesses, and have the peace of mind of knowing that you have a valid power of attorney for health care in place. So again, I created this video because I feel many people don't even know about this option. And at my office, if you're working with me to create a complete estate plan, we provide this document as part of our comprehensive planning as a service to our clients, because we don't want anyone to walk out the door without, let's say they want a will or a trust, but we don't want them to walk out the door without a healthcare power of attorney in place, which, like I said earlier, in my opinion, is one of the most important documents because your own health is important. While you're alive, this document is what helps you protect your health and get better. Whereas other documents such as a will or a trust only, well, a will only dictate what happens to your assets after you're gone. So sometimes you may hear people say everyone should have a will, and while I think it is a good idea everyone have an estate plan, I would change that to estate plan, because a total estate plan is what you want that covers both your health, your finances, and your assets after you're gone. So again, this form can be found at dhs.wisconsin.gov. There is the address, and I will put a link to this address in the video. And I hope it's helpful to you. Again, if it's a situation where you need one quickly or just have always thought about it and want to get it done on your own, or you're leaving on a trip tomorrow, you could get this form from the internet, fill it out, and have a valid healthcare power of attorney in place. Now, this is for Wisconsin residents. If you live in another state, you should look for the form that's applicable in your state, because it does fall under state law. These are state specific, and I recommend you complete the healthcare power of attorney in the state in which you reside. And finally, if you have questions and you're confused, you should consult with an attorney before you complete the form. Again, there's a lot of self-help information here available from the state, but it isn't legal advice. It's just giving you a form designed to be completed yourself. So if you feel confused and have further questions, then I wouldn't recommend you do this on your own. But if you're the type who feels you can accomplish this, this is definitely an option. It's in the state statutes and provided for free by the state of Wisconsin. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, please consider giving it a like so others can see and benefit from this information as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.